Welcome to the Bartender Rant Podcast. I am your host, Stephen Haley, and I am joined by my magnificent colleague. My God, I mean, MIT turned him down, Harvard turned him down, but that's only because they weren't smart enough or pretty enough for him. He is Michael Windsor. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing good, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. I'm missing you dearly. It's not as much fun to not be able to squeeze your cheeks while you're doing this pod with me.
Well, Memorial Day weekend, I'll be back. So
that's right. We got him back in the dirty 410. He's going to be coming back to Maryland. We're going to be recording a few more pods. I can't wait. It's going to be a hell of a time. Why don't we get right into it, Mike? What's new with you this week? What's going on?
Dude, I am fucking exhausted. I literally just got back an hour ago from a 21-hour haul where I was hauling a box trailer for work. And I literally left last night at 5 o'clock, drove all through the night, got there at 5:30 in the morning, laid in the truck for a couple hours, delivered the stuff, and then drove right back.
Jesus Christ.
I am pretty fucking exhausted. If you cut me right now, I would just bleed black coffee. So it worked out all right. But I'm the one shining light at the end of the tunnel was I was like, oh, we get to do one of the episodes tonight. So, that kind of kept me going. So
what's it like jerking off in your car?
Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. I actually tried that one time years ago when I was in high school in my Oldsmobile Omega, because somebody was talking about doing it. I was like, yeah, maybe one day I might get a blowjob or something in the car. I just kind of want to know how this goes. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't focus. I can't multitask like that. So
how fitting of a vehicle, an Oldsmobile Omega for showing your O face. I love it. Nothing like a good orgasm in an Oldsmobile. I've always said that.
I was at least on an empty country road. I wasn't cruising around in traffic, making eye contact with people.
I have a weird vision in my head that you were stroking it to the beat of "On the Road Again." On the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again.
It's funny. We were just talking about some of the feed, and thank you everybody for listening. And we've got some great feedback. We got a little bit of feedback that maybe we're a little bit crude sometimes, so Steve and I were going to curtail that, and then boom, we start off with masturbation in cars.
Good job. That's right.
We're already failing.
We came together as a group and we said, we want to give the people what they want, and we want to get better at this. We want to grow as podcasters, and part of that is taking constructive feedback. Too. Yeah, as people as well. Yeah, I need to grow in my relationship with Jesus, that's for sure. And so we said, look, let's be a little less crude. Let's dial it back. Let's only talk about the jerking process and not any of the bodily fluids. And then that's at least a step in the right direction. But anyway, Mike, I know you're exhausted. I appreciate you coming with a lot of energy and gusto tonight. We have a fantastic guest. I'm really excited to interview him. We actually have an anonymous guest for you this week, folks. And here's why. He and I go way back in the bar business. Absolutely fantastic bartender. One of the best I've ever worked with. But he's got a day job and he's got to be a real person. So we are going to call him Zack for the purposes of protecting his identity. But he's got some great stories for us. We're going to have a ton of fun. We're going to be doing Johnny Walker Black with Zack. Before we get into that, I do want to let everybody know who listened to the previous pod. That is the Annie Gladbach pod, our wonderful international bartender who was down in Australia, who was in New Zealand and Florida, told us, Mike, about so many really cool underground speakeasies and dive bars that sound really sweet. It was a fun episode, but I think some of the listeners may have noticed that Mike was, I'm going to use the word drowsy, slightly off his game. Do you want to make a comment on that here?
I was telling Steve, it makes me think I remember seeing a live performance recording of Zeppelin, and Robert Plant gets up on stage and he's like, I just want to apologize to everyone who came to our Edinburgh show or someplace, because apparently they got really fucked up and played a terrible fucking show. So
sometimes you just get really fucked up. Sometimes that's just what you have to do.
And here's the thing. You remember how you've said multiple times that this is like theater of the mind? It's kind of like a bar experience in your head. Are you going to tell me that in all your years you've never had a drunk bartender?
Absolutely not. I actually think it's really fitting. I've been thinking about that more since we did the pod with Annie, and you're absolutely right. You were just embodying the true spirit of this podcast, which is Folks, sometimes you go into Applebee's to see your local bartender, Mike, and he's shit wasted on Rumplemints behind the bar. And that's just how it goes, Look, order something simple. Don't expect a lot. And just understand, look, he's going to pour your drinks heavy. Live to have a nice evening another day. Or walk right back out. I mean, and come see Mike another time. But no, it was, I'll tell you what, we ended up having a ton of fun. It was a long pod to get through. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We had to go to the cutting room floor and be a little bit creative. I can tell all the fans out there that are interested, we will have saltwater crocodile shirts at some point, seeing as how that was the only joke Mike was able to make on the whole fucking pod.
Well, so Annie and I were kind of like celebrating because she's moving to Utah. So she's gone now. So we were kind of hanging out. So and honestly, before the pod started, she told me so many other crazy stories about Australia and New Zealand. So at some point when it's possible in the future, I'd actually maybe love to do little bonus episode with her.
Yeah, we'll bring her back for some bonus content. Sure.
Yeah. So and
it'd be really cool.
We'll stay sober.
What would be really cool is if we get to a point where we're doing the, if we do the contesting to win a happy hour with you and I. Maybe what we could do is have Annie on there as well, because my God, that girl's a good time. She knows how to get down. So. Anyway, without further ado, that's we follow up our longest episode with the longest open because I'm a fucking cocksucker. So
no, you're good. And before you go, I meant to do this last week. I want to give a quick shout out to Meg McCoy 2 episodes ago. She's helped Steve and I kind of figure out some of the audio and stuff.
Absolutely.
And took some time out of her schedule to do that, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Meg.
Meg and Hooch are our you've heard of angel investors. These are our angel executive producers.
Exactly.
So thank you to both.
And then also a quick shout out to my little brother Morgan Windsor. He let me use his really nice mic, so I didn't have to go spend $300. So thank you very much, Morgan. I love you.
All right. Anybody else's dick you need to jerk besides your brother?
Let me go hop in the truck really quick.
All right, let's get right into it. We got Johnny Walker Blacks with the infamous Zack. All right, guys, I am here with our anonymous bartender, Zack, and we're going to be doing Johnny Walker Blacks. Zack, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
It is a motherfucking pleasure, man. I don't see you nearly enough or as much as we used to when we were bartending together. How you been, brother?
I've been really good. I've been busy. I've been good.
Been busy. I know you're working like crazy, and we kind of said a little bit of this on the top of the show. We're not going to be telling the guests this week what Zack is currently doing. He's got a big boy job. And we're not going to be giving you his real name or even some of the names of the bars, but I can tell you we got great stories. As I mentioned, Zack and I go back in the service industry. How long ago did we meet?
6 years, 5 years,
something like that. Easy, right? It had to be. I mean, what? It was 2014 or 15, I think.
7 years, yeah.
Man, it's been a hell of a ride. When I say that this guy is a fucking tank behind the bar, I have rarely worked with a bartender in my life that gets shit done so that I can talk and slack off. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite things about him.
Well, and I've got to say too, I think the fact that we have this anonymous guest, I think we're doing something right here. I know we're only, this is episode 7, but I almost feel like we need to have a voice modulator for him. But no, I think it's good, and thank you so much for joining us, Zack.
No, thank you for having me again. And it's one of those things. A lot of people in the bar industry, you do need to cover some of their shit up because a lot of stuff happens behind the bar, and you go there for a drink, some food, whatever. You don't really realize what happens behind the bar.
It's probably good that the customers don't know half the shit that we got into. As Mike and I always say on this pod, protect the innocent.
And the guilty.
That's right. And we're going to be doing a lot of that today. So why don't we get it right kicked off with some drinks? Zack, first, before you pour us these tasty little scotches, why Johnny Black tonight?
So one, it's where I'm at in my life. It's my favorite thing to drink at home as well. But it all kind of started for me at the seafood bar.
Okay, the place where we first worked together.
Yes.
And we're going to just call it the seafood bar for tonight.
Yes.
Don't listen to any of our previous episodes.
No.
Now, the manager I had when I left, this was his go-to drink, and I never had it before until that moment, and it's just stuck with me, and now it's my go-to all the time. So I figured for the setting, it's pretty fitting for my experience here with you guys.
It's crazy how that stuff rubs off on you over the years. I was never a martini drinker until I met this beautiful man, Mike Windsor, right here. And, we started living together in Charles Village, and there was a little cocktail bar around the corner called the Beatnik. One of the best kept secrets in Baltimore at the time. It was this divey little cocktail bar, and they made incredible martinis. And we used to go there all the time. And I mean, the guy was like a mad scientist with the drinks. And so,
you remember the filthy Manhattan?
Yeah.
It was a Manhattan with egg whites
cracked in it. Egg in it.
And it was so good. It really was.
I loved the Beatnik martini with the beet juice. So, at the time, Mike was really into martinis. He was working at Bluestone. He was making a lot of higher end craft cocktails. And we started making them a lot at the house. And I fall in love, at that point in my life with gin. So I think it's cool, that, we're doing a drink tonight that's kind of an homage to like another, bartender industry person that kind of passed that on to you. So that's cool. All right. Well, look, without further ado, why don't you pour us up a few cocktails and we'll get going. All right.
While he's doing that, you brought up the Beatnik, and I like protect the guilty, of course. But whenever we had my going away party, some of my friends drunkenly drove down to the Beatnik because it was closing, and they stole the marquee sign and brought it back to me as my going away gift.
Still one of my proudest operations I've ever executed.
I was trying to protect it, but I still have that thing, man. That meant so much to me. That was such a great gift.
There you are. Cheers here. Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. It's been a long day.
You really do have to be quite a mixologist, too, to properly prepare this drink. So I'm glad we're featuring it tonight.
I prefer like the nice single large whiskey cube in it. That's my go-to. And my lovely girlfriend got me like a 2-pack of these 4 like molds
to make the larger bar cubes.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And there's actually something too, adding a little bit of water to a good scotch.
Of course.
So
Yeah,
and Mike, that's what I wanted to talk about. Like we've up until this point, we've had nothing but cocktails, right, on the show. And I actually think that this is a great change of pace to do maybe a little higher end, more top shelf alcohol and promote that. So, Johnny Walker has an unbelievable history. They're the first ever liquor company to use square bottles. And it was a huge kind of change in the industry because square bottles allow you to ship more product. That's the first big thing. And the second thing that it allows you to do is less breakage. Those circular bottles bounce around in a crate, especially when you're shipping across an ocean on an old shitty ass ship. And so you have the square bottles, they fit a little bit nicer. So that's, they were really innovator in the business. The other thing is, there's nothing like scotch. There's not another liquor that really kind of compares to that very rich, very complex flavor profile of scotch. So, there's a lot of different ways to drink it. Zack is doing his tonight with just kind of one single cube. I'm doing mine with a couple cubes. As he mentioned, it's great if you can use a larger, circular or square bar cube. The ice will melt slower. So you get with the larger surface area. So you get, a little less of that diluted scotch as you're drinking it. But I actually tend to agree with Mike too. I like a splash of water in mine, open it up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's truly that's one of the more traditional ways to drink it. And it's funny. I actually prefer not just my scotch, but all my whiskey with a single nice ice cube. Because obviously neat is just poured straight, and then on the rocks is with a bunch of ice. I don't want a bunch of fucking ice in my glass, but I do like that extra little bit of water and a little bit of the chill. Now, as far as I know, there's not a name for that, so I always just call it a whiskey Deadeye. And what you do is you order it at a bar, and you're like, yeah, I'll take a whiskey Deadeye. And then they don't know because I don't think anybody calls it that. And then you act like you act like a complete asshole. You're like, oh, I'm sorry. Did you just start bartending? Eventually it'll catch on. You know what I mean?
You're gonna piss off one bartender at a time until your bad catches on.
Exactly.
All right, I want all listeners to take a mental note here of the person I'm dealing with on a regular basis. Reference the last episode with Andy Gladbach. I'll say it again. So anyway. Without further ado, let's get into this. Zack, thank you for bringing the scotch. I'm super excited. It tastes delicious, and I gotta say, I've never seen somebody prepare such a wonderful scotch before.
I do what I can.
It's fucking perfect.
I was professional.
So we always like to start the show with what we call our drinked in, right? We want to get a little bit of background of your service industry experience. And so, as the listeners, listen along and drink along with us, why don't we just first get into kind of tell us how you got into the industry in the first place.
All right. So I went to Salisbury.
Okay.
I transferred to Towson halfway through, so right before my junior year. And I didn't have a job at the time. I was from the area. I grew up in Towson.
All right, for you non-Maryland listeners, right? So Towson's a little area just north of Baltimore City. Salisbury is like the big university down near the beach.
Yeah.
Towson's the big university, kind of like right outside of Baltimore.
Yep.
So
Zach out of there.
Yeah. So Zach's a Baltimore resident, or
Towson University is where the guy from Drunk History went to school.
It is.
Yeah, right.
He actually is a Towson born and raised.
As is our wonderful co-host Michael. So we got a lot of Tiger blood on this pod right now.
I came back, got into Towson, and my parents were like, "You need to get a job." Okay, so I was going to every bar that would hire anyone for anything. I didn't care. I walked into this seafood bar, and they were like, "Well, we need a busboy." And, it was pretty self-explanatory. When can you start?
Pick shit up, put shit down.
Yeah.
Take trash out, flip ice, right?
So at the time, they had, 4 managers. And one of them calls me up an hour later and was like, "All right, you're hired. I need you to start tomorrow." And I was unemployed at the time, and, I needed to get a job. So I was like, "All right, I'm there. What time?" It was 4 o'clock. I was there at 3:45, got the shirt, and that's how I started. I was a busboy for
got the shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that line. Got the shirt.
That's all it is. It's all a shirt.
How true is it with especially those more neighborhoody dive bar, non-corporate places where you go in for an interview? I've literally been in bar interviews where as I'm interviewing, they're like, "Can you start right now? Can you actually wait on tables right now? Yeah. We're so short-staffed. Here's the shirt."
Yeah, it's a large or extra large. What do you need?
Well, that was a very – I know you listeners out there, because you don't know Zach and you're not going to see any pictures of him. You don't understand that when he says large or extra large, that's just sizing for his trap, okay? He is the trap god, okay? This man has neck on neck, if you know what I'm saying. Like my neck, my back, my neck, and my neck, that kind of thing. It is insane, man. That's why he can haul – that's why he was probably top 10 bar back in Baltimore City at the time, because he can just – throw trash can and ice around. So you get this bar backing gig. How does it kind of progress from there? You're working at this. What are we calling this place? Because I know we're kind of keep it under wraps.
I would say it was the epitome of a local hole in the wall place with great regulars.
Okay.
Most of them were good.
How old is this place? I mean, are we talking newer restaurant?
No, so it actually opened up in 1976.
Holy shit.
75. So
it's still cooking.
It's still cooking.
Jesus Christ.
New owners from the originals, but they kept with most of the same food, same crowd. Nothing inside really changed.
Okay.
But it was a good community.
Nice.
So I felt good there.
What should we label this place as we talk about it throughout the show?
I mean, I would just call it a dive.
Okay. We'll just call it The Dive.
Yeah,
that's what we'll call it. All right. So you're working at The Dive. You're a bar back. How does that kind of are you in that role for a little bit?
I was a busser.
Oh, you were a busser?
I was a busser first.
A busser first. Just clearing tape.
Yeah. And then I guess I bussed for 2 years maybe. And it's a summer bar. Seafood, especially in Maryland, and our part of Maryland especially, is mostly a summer thing. So this place was open year round, but I went to school maybe a mile away. So I bussed for 2 years. In the off season, it slowed down. Off season, fall, winter, spring, slowed down. I hosted for a little bit. I hosted for 1 year, and another manager, is a different one from the 7 they had previously. He was like, "You're a really good worker. I want you to bar back," and that's how I became a bar back.
So they just kind of noticed that you were doing a good job.
Yeah, not OCD, but I'm a little OCD.
Yeah.
Well, and that's actually after we started. I had a friend message me after he listened to some of the podcasts. He's like, "How do I get a bartending job?" And it's like, well, you could go, the SID route and actually go and study bartending and stuff, and actually be able to go in with a resume. But for 99% of the people, you just have to go to a restaurant you want to work at, and you've got to get a job. You just got to get any job.
Gotta work.
You got to work, and you can tell the management, it's like, yeah, eventually this is what I'd like to do, but I'll put in my time.
While we're on this subject, though, I do have to give a little bit of advice to the listeners. If you do want to get a bar gig, and maybe we can talk about this in pet peeves. Actually, I'm going to save it for pet peeves, because this is something that I have always taken great pride in as just a little tactic on getting bar jobs there's very simple things that you can do, and I think that most people don't understand them. So they
sleeping with the manager.
Of course. I mean, look, you got to polish the knob. You just got to polish that chrome.
Well, that's how you got there.
You're goddamn right. You're goddamn right. Look, I kiss ass with the best of them. Let me tell you. It's probably hard to even imagine that my lips can stop moving long enough from blowing hot air out my mouth to kiss any ass, but it is possible, people. It is. So I mean, look, man, that is the ultimate story, right? Like you moved up by merit, right? You kept doing good work, and they kept rewarding you. So you become a bar back. You're doing good work, and when I actually meet you at the Dive, when I start working there. Actually, the guy that I think introduced Johnny Black to you, he's the one that brought me in. You were already a bartender at that point. So how did you kind of make that next step to bartender? They just there was an opening and they said, why not, right?
Exactly. There was an opening and I was old enough and I'd been there long enough and they were like, we think you'd be a great fit. What days can you work? What days can't you work? These are the days available. And I was like, whatever days you have, I will take all of them because the money is better.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was good money at the time. So I can't blame you there. So, little inside scoop. I'm going to kind of hijack Zack's drinking for a sec. For when I first started working there, I'd been in the service industry for about 12 years and worked with a lot of different bartenders at a lot of different places. And from day one, I knew that Zack was a little different, that he could just handle a lot more. He has this ability to block out any stress to where when shit gets crazy, he's still calm, even keel. And so we were a great team, and we ended up working a regular Saturday shift together. It was myself, Zack, and another guy, Alex Boucher, who we actually talked about on the pod, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And I'll tell you, it was the best bar crew I ever worked on in my life. I set him up. We used to say, I set him up. You'd knock him down, and Alex would make him laugh and keep him coming back.
That's one of the things. Like, I'm over here doing all this work, but Steve's making us all the money. So it was a good a good balance.
I can't make the money if none of the drinks get sold.
It was a great balance. It was a good crew.
Yeah, it was. And it's special when you find that. Like it's so rare to find a good crew that you're walking in, you know your role. You know how it's going to flow. You have your regulars coming to see you, and you start to build kind of a following for your crew, which was it was so awesome. So that's how we kind of became friends, and then the rest is history from there. So let me ask you this: you're working at the Dive, you're bartending. Have you worked at any other bars, or was that really the only one?
That was it.
I think this is the first, Mike. Am I wrong? Is this our first?
No, kidding. Actually. Totally forgot.
Okay.
I bar backed at Cooper's North.
Oh, okay.
I was there for a few years, and I was working 7 days a week at the time. I don't know how I forget this because it was miserable. And summer ended, and they were like, "Do you want to stay here?" But it was her.
It's all right. We can edit it out.
The Dive was like, "Hey, we really want you to work more." And I was like, I will absolutely work more. So I left Cooper's and went to the Dive full time.
Nice. Okay, so
I've still got my Cooper shirt.
Yeah,
so do I.
I also work there.
What's strange is all three of us have worked at Cooper's, but I don't think ever at the same time. I mean, Mike and I for a little bit, but Zack was at a different location, so it's kind of strange how the paths cross. But anybody that knows Baltimore knows this is small Baltimore. You can't get away. I mean, once you meet somebody, you're going to run into them. I got a bartender, Carmen, that I have worked with now at 6 different bars he and I have worked together at. And it blows my mind. Every time I walk into a new place, and then he turns around, he's standing there, I'm like, again? This motherfucker? Again? Just kidding, Carmen. I love you, baby. No, all right. I love it, man. So how long were you in the industry in total?
I guess 8 years.
Okay, damn. So you put in your time, man. Yeah. You put in your time. It probably felt like 8 to life though.
It did, honestly. And I graduated college and I was like, wow, I don't want to do any of this stuff I went to school for. So at the time I had no plan really.
Yeah.
And I was making good money, so I wasn't pressed to find something.
Yeah.
But it did feel like it was 8 to life.
Cool. Well, look, you got that big boy job and you got out of the industry. Do you ever miss it?
I do.
Yeah.
I do miss it.
What's the thing you miss most about it?
It was fun. I mean, the money was good, but like you said, that Saturday crew, like you knew what you were getting into, you knew who you were working with, and I mean, it was special. I mean, it was. I looked forward to going to work, and I knew it was going to be a good time.
Yeah.
Even if we were in the weeds, I knew I knew it was going to be good.
Yeah, there are a few jobs I've ever worked in my life where I've laughed as hard as I have at the restaurants, those good restaurants or with those good crews, man. It's just, it's something special.
It really is. Yeah, everybody who works in restaurants, man, they're just fucking crazy. Most people are making decent money and they're seeing everybody come out and wine and dine themselves. So what do as soon as the shift is over? They'll go out and fucking get fucked up and wine and dine. You end up going to the bar next door with your whole crew. Yeah, it's a good time.
Get a little that stress relief. Well, look, man, that's an awesome story. I think it's a little unique from some of the other bartenders, especially when we just interviewed Annie. And, Annie's a lifer for sure in the hospitality industry, and she's been all over the world doing it. So I think it's really cool that, you kind of were local. It was neighborhood driven in your backyard. I think that's great, man. So, all right, we're going to get right into the top 10. We call this the gauntlet. These are about, the top 10 questions that Mike and I have whittled down. We took a raw lump of clay and we molded the perfect questions, or at least we think so, that we want to ask our bartenders.
See, I like to think more of it as we distilled it.
We distilled it. Very nice. Golf clap for you, sir.
I'm not drunk this time, so
I have to say, all that was lacking on Monday is you're making up for it already. I can already see you feel stronger, you feel brighter. I love it.
I also haven't. I've been driving for 21 hours with like maybe an hour of sleep, so I'm like on that fringe of like delirium.
Oh, perfect.
Like I feel punchy. I feel punchy. I'm ready to rock and roll, man.
Yeah, you're probably right where all of us have been after 3 doubles in a row in summer, where you got to go in for another Saturday shift after that, and if somebody pushes the wrong button, you're gonna snap. So I'm actually excited to see how this plays out over the next 30 minutes. All right, so we're gonna hop right into the top 10. The first one, pet peeves and misconceptions. We want to hear some of your pet peeves about the service industry or customers or just things that customers don't understand. And I am going to hijack this and give my quick one here before we let Zack go. If you are applying to a bar, if you want to get a bar or restaurant job, a couple quick pointers. Do not go in during prime time. If you are trying to apply and it's Friday at 7 o'clock, you have already done fucked up. I am not hiring your ass. You do not have the basic sense that is the busiest time of the entire week for me. Don't do that. Number 2, go in when there's a manager that is available for you. So if you go in right when they open, a lot of times the manager has to do inventory. They have to get the bar set up. If you go right when lunch starts, maybe they're busy again. The key time to go in is between about 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. You ask for a manager. If they say, we need you to fill out an application, don't go home. Sit down right there at that bar right then and there. Don't order a drink. Do not order a drink. Order a water. Fill out that application and turn it right into him. So that's a little bit of maybe more of a misconception. But if you want a bar gig, keep that in mind. That is hugely important.
I got to jump in really quick, too. It also just, learn up on some of the basics. When I was working at Bluestone, they had a very basic bartender, application that went along with the regular application. Really simple stuff, like name 3 types of red wine. That kind of stuff. Who's the most important person in the restaurant? That kind of stuff. And I remember this one time a lady came in and applied, and the management just started passing around her application because her answers were name 3 types of red wine. It was strawberry, blackberry. Yeah. It's who's the most important person in the restaurant? The manager. It was a mess. So just get on Google and just learn some of the basics, and it'll help you out tremendously. Yeah, it's the customer. Yeah.
It's the customer.
Yeah,
if
you can't tee that one up, you're in trouble. So, all right. So, Zack, give us some of your pet peeves and misconceptions.
I'm going to veer off to the side here. And
we love veering.
I'm going to pet peeve.
We're big on veering here. Hit us.
Say busser, barback, bartender. My biggest pet peeve is if you see something that's got to get done, just do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people they won't do that, and if you are applying for a job, just keep that in mind. It could be the smallest thing, but the small things go a long way.
The not my jobbers.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. It's all, we all work for the same place. Just if you see something that's got to get done, just do it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for. That's for the actual people that work at the place. For a customer, I'll say a pet peeve is when they come back and they ask you for more alcohol in the drink. And that happened quite frequently.
Yeah. Now, was part of this conversation I want more alcohol for free, or I just need you to tweak the drink? You're saying more alcohol for free?
So, I mean, the dive bar was not a cocktail bar. People did not come in and order anything fancy.
It was a Miller Lite and
it was a beer bar.
And Rumpleman's bar.
Exactly.
Is what it was.
A lot of liquor and a lot of beer. And it's like, if I'm making you a Jack and Coke, it's two things. It's Jack and Coke. I'm sorry. If you're asking me for more Jack, sir, ma'am, we do all the pours the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want to appease them, you do the little dab right in the straw. You give it to them. There you go. It's good.
That's a great trick. And also, if you are in a situation, regardless of what type of bar you're in, and you want heavier pours, it's not always going to be a guarantee, but you can kind of on the sly, say that to the bartender and tip after the first drink and tip them really fucking well.
Yeah.
I've done that before, and it's been a mistake because then I ended up getting fucking wasted and I don't remember the rest of the night. But if you want more service from them, if you want special treatment, you have to give them special treatment too.
Sure.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, it goes both ways. Yeah, it's funny. This is back-to-back bartenders that have had the same similar pet peeve, is these people, oh, can you add a little extra? Can you do a few more seconds and stuff like that? And look, I don't know where this amazing sense of entitlement comes. You are going to a commercial business with the premise of you're going to pay for shit. And then you feel like that's where you're going to like get one over. Like, I'd rather give you a free appetizer. I don't want to do that either. But the point is, you're coming here to pay for shit. You need to have it in your mindset that I'm going to pay for whatever I order, right? Mm. So if you want to order more alcohol, I'll charge you for more. But,
You're insane, Steve. That doesn't make any sense.
We want you to be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need to appease the guest.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we can only do so much.
A lot of times, again, if somebody's really polite, even if I don't know them, it's their first time, they ask for a little bit extra, I'll give them a little shot extra. If they come up to the bar again and ask for extra, then I have to say, look, I'm charging you from here on out.
Yeah, I have to.
If you want more. I gave you a nice gesture. But we can't continue this way because then I'm not going to have any alcohol for me.
Exactly.
When the shift's over. All right, so that's pretty good. So what about best or worst tips? Because a lot of times these people that want a little extra alcohol, they also happen to be the worst tippers too, and they fuck you over. So talk to me about some of your best and worst tips in your industry career.
All right. So we had this great group of regulars, fantastic, nicest people in the whole world. Great conversationalists. Always had something to say.
A lot of good old boys,
and it was always worth listening to. Not always, but for the most part. And you'd comp drinks for them, and that's just how that works. If you want free stuff, that's how you get it. Note that. But secondly, they were the best tippers. There's one couple. Can we say names?
So it's funny. Mike and I actually call our good tippers on the pod Bozels.
All right. Well, there were two Bozels. They're an older couple.
I'm familiar with who you're referring to.
Exactly. I don't even have to say the name.
Yes.
I saw them both tonight.
Why don't we do fake names? Let's call them Dave and Gene.
All right. So Dave and Gene, the nicest people in the whole world, and they would throw down. And it was constantly. We worked. I was there 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah, and we would see them easily 3.
Every day.
Easily 3 at minimum. And they'd bring their whole families in, their extended families, their kids. But honestly, God, just the two of them, you were counting on $50 to $100 tip
easily
every time, no matter what they ordered. They would sometimes, I'd get just Dave, and he'd sit there and have 2 beers, and I'd go, hey, where's Gina? Oh, she's up at work, or she's, she had a doctor's appointment, or this or that. And, Dave would have a drink or two, and then the next thing you know, he's out the door, and there's $100 bill sitting on the bar.
Wow.
And it was just incredible.
And obviously those people, those are outliers.
No doubt, of course.
Incredibly generous, and I've known people like that too. Now, you can still be a Bozell at a bar if you don't have that kind of cash.
100%.
And still just leave a good tip, especially if it's a regular bar that you're going to, all the time. Just take good care of the people that you see regularly, and they're going to take good care of you. It's really that simple.
It's also a mindset too. Both those people and a lot of the regulars at the dive were really seemed to care about us who work there.
Yeah.
Interested in our lives, inviting us to things. I went to two different of our regulars at the time, their grandchildren's baptisms. Zack and I know not to get somber with it, but Zack and I went to a couple funerals for people's family members. I mean, it was much more of an intimate relationship with some of these regulars than I've maybe ever had at most of the bars that I've worked at, for sure.
Sure.
So
well, and we've kind of talked about it before too, that like when you're going to a bar, it is a different experience. You're going to like hang out with people and let some steam off. Maybe you don't want to talk to anybody, or maybe you want to like talk to the bartender about stuff you can't share with like even your closest family members. Just because it's somebody you can vent to. So you really do find some really interesting relationships between the patrons and the staff. So.
Yeah. Well, now that we said all these nice things, let's switch gears for a second. Mike, tee him up. I know you love this next category. This is one of your favorites.
Oh shit! I don't have my list in front of me.
You know what it is? It's
ratchet
nasty.
And crazy.
No, not yet.
No.
Not yet. Number 3 is nasty drinks.
Oh yeah. So
worst drink orders.
And we kind of had to modify this one. So like worst drink orders, like stuff that you had to make for customers that was either just really gross or really ridiculous, or alternatively maybe the worst drink that a bartender has ever made for you.
All right. So at the dive, we had like seasonal drinks, and this is not going to be like one certain drink. This is just a whole group, and they have all the ingredients on the menu. So, and they were all random. They're drinks that don't exist. Maybe only for this place, and we never had the stuff we needed for them, but people would order them anyway. And I would tell them that, like, well, all right, I can make this, but it's not going to be anywhere near what you're ordering. I'll get it close, but
why is this a thing? I'm so confused. Like,
I wonder the same thing myself.
So Zack, what Zack is really referring to is we'd have a seasonal cocktail list.
Yeah.
And at any given time, and I maybe you can back me up on this. I don't know. At any given time, I think we're talking about maybe we had 50 to 60% of the things we needed to make any of the cocktails.
What is going on?
Yeah, pour me a little more there.
I will.
Hot shot.
It was ridiculous. And these drinks were not like, once in a while. It was an often thing where people would order, oh, that sounds good. I want some of that. Because, we had the Van Gogh vodka, which is delicious. But the problem is there's 12 flavors. And these drinks incorporated all 12 of these flavors.
Oh
and
my God.
We had the vodka, but we didn't have anything else. So it was months of just disaster.
That just sounds like a managerial problem.
Oh,
right
100%. I was just going to say, this is one of these classic conversations where, and I want to say this to every single person listening, whether you're in the service industry or you never have been. So many times when you go to a restaurant and things are not going well for you as a patron, Jesus Christ.
You hungry?
Yeah, I think I'm half hungry, and I think the Johnnies are starting to get to me too.
Yeah.
When you go out to a restaurant as a patron and things aren't going well, a lot of the time it's because that place is being mismanaged by some punk-ass manager who's 35, who they gave the job to with no experience, and that person is running this place into the ground. They're not getting inventory. They're not staffing properly. They're not setting people up for success. They got the best bartender expoing food. They got the weakest bartender doing the biggest table and bar section. They forgot to schedule a bar vac for tonight. They don't have any, they don't have any more Coca-Cola or ice. They just forgot to put that on the inventory order. It's always shit like that. And so when you hear that we had a seasonal cocktail list, it's made to be sold one time a year, and we can't keep the things in stock to make it, that's not my fault, people. Don't get mad at me, Karen. All right? I got a David over here can't keep my fucking bar stocked. I don't have anything for you. You want a Miller Lite? That's what I have. I have Miller Lite.
I don't order the blueberries. That's not what I do.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like people getting pissed off at at a fast food restaurant in the drive-thru. They're like, "Oh, you're out of that? Why are you out of that? Or why did the price go up?"
Do I look
you
like
really
a
think
farmer,
that fucking
sir?
person knows that?
Do I look like a farmer, sir? Do I grow mint? No, I don't grow mint. Okay, I fucking pour drinks. All right, that's what I do, and I take your shit apparently. So yeah, dude, it was so frustrating. So that's a really good one as far as worst drink orders. I think that's just.
Just drinks you can't make because you don't have the shit.
But Zach and I would attempt it all the time.
We would.
You're right. And then somebody'd be like, ooh, this doesn't taste right. And I'm like, yep, that's because I had one thing that's in that ingredient list.
I'll take that from you.
Let me nab that back. Here's your next round on me. So that's actually a good transition. Ultimate mistakes, fuck-ups, either yours or your coworkers. So I'm talking about dropping trays, spilling something on a customer, forgetting to bring shit in. Tell us some of the big fuck-ups that you witnessed.
So my big thing was counting the drawers at night.
Okay.
So a lot of the times at the dive, the bartenders are the one counting the drawers. And look, we are people that are good with other people. We are not people that do math.
No.
So, I mean, and that, even with my big boy job, I'm not a numbers person. I don't do that. So, I mean, remember when you were little and you were like in math class and they were like, you're not going to have a calculator all the time.
Yeah.
Well, now everyone does all the time.
Fucking joke on them. Yeah, jokes on them.
Yeah. So without
Fuck
that,
you, Mrs. Hall.
Exactly,
you were wrong, bitch.
Exactly. I'd be in a lot of trouble.
Wow, you're really holding some resentment.
I've thought about this many times.
Is it?
She's listening.
Unfortunately, I can no longer do any math in my head whatsoever. So
is Miss Hall the reason you got so fucked up on the last pod? She why you drink?
Yeah, she's the reason I drink. No, she was actually a nice teacher, but yeah.
So anyway.
Sorry.
We'd have to count the money at the end of the night. You're saying it would just always get fucked up.
Yeah, and whenever it was off, if it's short, we are the ones making up for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all of the bartenders there ended up, I guess in hindsight, it worked out well for us because we started learning like how the numbers should be and what is missing and where did it come from. But initially, whenever we're short, we're paying for that.
It was a clusterfuck. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those first 2 or 3 weeks where you and I were closing on our own. And, we're in a new world in 2021. We talked about the toast system kind of taking over the industry and making, doing the drawer, doing the numbers super, super easy. But when we tell you that this place is called The Dive and it opened in the 70s, do you think that we had very advanced computer systems and money tracking systems? We did not. Okay.
No, you can't even keep fucking ingredients stocked.
No, we can't even keep the ingredients stocked for us. Right. And so, we were doing paper checks to enter all of our credit card tips at the end of the night by hand.
One by one.
We used to have a separate credit card machine from our actual service computer because this bar found out that it would be cheaper for them to find a credit card company that had a standalone machine. So whenever you had to close a transaction, you had to go to the computer, print everything out, walk to the other end of the bar, swipe the card, bring the ticket back over at the end of the night, make sure that ticket matched up to the check. The check numbers in those two systems don't match up. So it was very easy to kind of get into a situation where you're like, fuck, we're short $80 and we have no idea where it came from. Are we missing credit card charges? Did we put in tips wrong? And then we'd be there until 3 a.m. And that did feed a little bit of our drinking. I mean, I'm not going to say we stayed sober during this entire this math Olympics that we were doing at the end of each night, but man, it was brutal. That was a brutal one for sure. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw myself at the mercy of our guest here. Most of those fuck ups were mine.
You know what? I'll let you throw yourself under that bus. I'm not going to confirm or deny that.
All right, moving on. All right. Number 5, health code violations. Tell us about some of the raunchiest shit you've seen.
Raunchiest shit. So they did serve seafood. So, the back could only be so clean. Have you ever smelled a dead crab before?
Oh, I have. I really have.
They are terrible.
It haunts my nightmares.
It's
bad. I have fever dreams.
It's bad. So as a busboy, one of your jobs is to empty out the dead crabs, put them in the trash, and they're wet. And it's not just like they're wet, but like they leak and it's just smelly, gross water. And,
they're bottom feeders. I mean, they're just not, the crab meat's great. If you're not from Maryland, the process of like eating the crab is like it's a really fun experience. It's communal.
It's like a ritual. Yeah.
Right. And Mike's from Kansas, but Mike, lived out here, so he in Baltimore for a long time, so he got a lot of that experience. But the thing about it is that I love about the crabs, you have to put your phone down. You got crab shit seasoning all over your hands, so you are forced to sit at a table with other people and actually have a fucking conversation and actually spend quality time, which is why Baltimoreans and Marylanders, why that is so, like, it's so special to us, like the crab eating experience. But when you cook crabs, they got to be live. You electrocute them, you throw them in the steam pot, you send them out to a table. If you don't sell them and they fucking die, they go smelly fucking quick. Yeah. It is bad.
It's really bad.
It is bad. So I remember we used to like haul them out to the dumpster and toss them in there, and then it would be like a rat colony around the dumpster. Yeah.
Oh so my God.
Maybe that's the worst part of it.
What else do you do with them though? You have to throw them away, and the dumpster was far enough away, so when you're walking into the dive, you don't smell it. But when you park over there, like your car might smell for a few days. I mean, it was bad.
It's kind of funny because crabs and rats are the two animals that I most associate with Baltimore.
As do most people. Yes. You're not the only one.
I love it. And the third is these shit-ass kicking pigeons that are all over the goddamn place. I can't take them. I can't take them anymore. They're just basically flying rats. Yeah, I mean, look, there are plenty other health code violations from the dive, just to name a few. You know, there was a gaping hole in the kitchen line that went straight through the kitchen line to the basement. They just put a piece of plywood over it. You know, there were a lot of things like the tables had rust on them, and, you know, there was just open raw seafood in the raw bar that maybe always wasn't in the, you know, like the best temperature per se, you know.
The smelly crabs was a generous not so bad. It's just part of the business. But yeah, it's a whole lot of stuff that you know, I was glad to be a part of. But you know, it's done now.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, how about ratchet and crazy customers? Like when you know, this is question number 6. We always kind of, you know, the way that we try to ask guests about this is memorable. How memorable was that customer? How crazy or ratchet were they? And you actually reminded me of a story that I haven't told in years. I had actually forgotten about this. But
I'd love to hear it.
When we used to haul these crabs out to this one dumpster, it really would be like a rat colony congregating around it. And I remember one time, it was myself and another one of our barbacks hauling these crabs out there to dump them. And I think Zack will back me up. What was very common at the dive is that people would get way too wasted, and then they would go to their cars and they would fuck in their cars in the parking lot.
Oh my! I do know exactly who you're talking
about. I already see where you're going with this, and the guy's just like, "Baby, is that you?"
Oh God, Lord! Hello, ladies. Coke 45 and 2 zigzags, baby. That's all we need. No, seriously. I remember one time we're hauling them out there, and I could smell the dumpster before we got 20 feet away. It was like our last haul.
We're almost there.
And as we're walking up to the dumpster, there's a blue pickup truck right next to it, and it's like rocking back and forth. And I realized in that moment that there are 2 human beings, or just one Mike Windsor jerking off, in that vehicle.
It's not an Oldsmobile.
In that vehicle, making sweet, nasty love next to one of the worst smells I've ever smelled. Now, do they finish up and leave? No, they finished up and came back in and had more drinks. Right. More drinks. And I was just like, I was bewildered. Man, I could fuck through World War III. But if something smells as bad as a rotten crab does, I don't know if I can
Sometimes you just can't wait.
I don't know if I can pop a Jimmy. I don't think I can do it, man. I just don't think it's going to happen. But so that's a ratchet, crazy customer that I always remember. I can't believe I haven't told that story yet on the pod until he said hauling the crabs. So
was that the woman that I'm thinking about?
Oh, it is the woman that you are thinking about. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. One of our lovely regulars.
What a special lady. Yeah. What a special lady.
Like a little sweetheart.
I don't think we ever saw the guy ever again. I think that was like a side piece.
A one and done.
Yeah, little crab slam, you know?
Crab slam.
But anyway, so I'm hogging the airtime here. Give us some ratchet, crazy customers for you that you maybe are memorable throughout your service industry career.
So I think it was just one big crazy experience. I think, and I'm not calling them bad people, but you know, they ask you about your life and what do? You ask them about theirs, and they tell you their stories. And some of the stories they tell you are just absolutely insane. And you know, I'm late 20s, right? So these people are adults, and you hear about their stories, and you're like, how did you make it this far. Like, how are you 50 years old? Can I tell one of the story real quick?
Oh, go crazy,
Okay,
baby.
okay.
Go
So
crazy.
we're
here for you. This is your rodeo.
So there was this regular and really nice guy, kind of weird, but really nice. Bad tipper, but really nice. He told me one time that they had a pet rat in their house, and their pet rat had bit his son, and his son got sick, and it turned into this whole thing. And they actually made a TLC episode about crazy pets about him, and it was just
Really?
it was.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah,
he was on TLC.
It was on TLC
about having a pet rat.
I don't.
I've seen those like white rats, the ones that seem like clean. I still wouldn't have one. All right, and I'll divorce anybody that tries to bring that into my fucking home. But
concur.
But I'm just saying that's a little different. Are we talking like straight off the street city rat? Like he was like he had his own SPCA, but all he does is him and Sarah McLachlan go around and they save fucking city rats. Is that
people have rats as pets, and that's nationwide. All right, that's not just a Baltimore thing. It could be just a Baltimore.
Lock them up. Yeah. Lock them up.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on rodents in my house.
Agreed.
They're fucking they smell. Hamster cage, guinea pigs, like what the fuck? What's the point of that? Unless you're gonna eat it at some point in time, I don't.
Let's
understand
do it. Let's talk about it right now. Okay, Dirty Tom and his nasty ass, oily ass ferret that used to climb through the vents of the house. And one night I'm sleeping, and all of a sudden I wake up and I have a ferret on my chest, staring me in the face. Like something out of fucking Dante's Inferno. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I don't do rodents.
I don't believe that ferret is a rodent, though. Ferrets are they're like little wolves, man. They're carnivores.
Marsupial? I don't even know.
So really quick tangent. No, it's not a goddamn marsupial. You know what? So ferrets are almost like domesticated out of the wild. And they're having to reintroduce ferrets into places. You know what their natural prey is? Fucking prairie dogs.
Is that right?
Ferrets? Totally right. I love prairie dogs.
Well, so do fucking ferrets.
I always thought that ferrets were more like a mongoose type of deal.
No. Like ferrets and minks and all those little critters, they are fucking carnivores. The way that the ferrets will kill a prairie dog is they will fucking grab it and they'll just bite its fucking windpipe.
That's terrible.
And then just until it dies. And then they'll fucking take it into a hole and eat it.
What about that explanation makes you want to have that as a pet?
Well,
seriously.
we're talking about Dirty Tom here.
That's a good point. Dirty Tom.
He is not an average representation of the normal population.
The man who threw up in a box and left it in that box for, God Lord, 3 weeks and lived in that same room. I mean, he is a special guy. Yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty raunchy right there. So, was this customer somebody that would you know how people come to the bar and they want to show you their cute pictures of their dog, and you're like, oh, I mean, yeah, your dog's cute, but my dog is cuter. You know what I mean? So that's nice. I appreciate you showing me pictures of your dog, but can I get back to work?
Do you really though? It's like, oh wow, I haven't seen a dog before. That's great.
It depends on how hot the person showing me the pictures of the dog.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I would love to see your dog. Oh my god, it's cute as.
Depends on how good of a tipper they are, too.
Since we're on pets as well, I just want to get this off my chest that fuck all of the little tiny breeds of pugs and shit. People are like, it's so cute. It's so ugly. It's cute. No, it's if a pug would have walked out our ancestors, hunters and gatherers, a pug walks out from behind a tree, they would think it was a goddamn demon. They're like, there's no way that naturally evolved anywhere.
You got to stop right now, okay? It's not a hot take to say that you don't like small dogs. You're killing us right now. Apple and Google Podcasts are already flagging us for the crude behavior in the language. If we come out as against dogs,
I love dogs.
This podcast is not going fucking anywhere, dog.
Look, you have to get me straight. I love the creature as a living being, but all that is it used to be a fucking wolf that humans twisted and concocted into this little fucking thing that can't even breathe through its fucking face anymore. And they're like, oh, look how cute it is. No, you fucking ruined that thing.
They are adorable.
This is the most passionate you've ever been.
Agree to disagree.
On this entire pod. All right.
I hate pugs.
So anyway, the point of the question I was trying to ask is, was this guy showing you pictures of his rat like somebody would show you pictures of a dog?
So not at the time, but he did pull up the show, and It might not have been TLC. It could have been, I don't know. It was one of those channels that, like, no one really watches.
Right.
They're on during the day, and they
Fusion
they
or some shit like that. Right.
Like, if you are 80 years old and you're watching something at home when everyone else is working, that's what you'll see.
If you're an A executive out there, we would love to get a syndicated support for this podcast. So we are saying this just as a
joke. Do you remember the name of the rat?
I don't, and part of me hopes it wasn't named. Yeah, because you don't do that. It's a rat.
Me too. If you were gonna name a rat, okay, I know this is the Bartender Rat podcast, but if you were gonna name a rat, what would you name it?
Poe.
Poe?
Edgar Allan Poe.
Poe the rat?
It's yeah. What's wrong with that?
I kind of want to name it Roger the Rat. I don't know why.
Oh my God. I would just rip off Cartoon Network and go Pinky.
Pinky in the Brain. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, Mike, why don't you tee up our next question here in the gauntlet?
Okay. Yeah. So this kind of flows through from Ratchet and Crazy customers, but this is fights, arrests, and fires. All right. So when shit's really hitting the fan, people are potentially in danger. Some things that happen that maybe cause some people to crack, or you might have had to call the police.
I can't remember any. I mean,
well, do you remember the fight?
Which one? Oh, I say which one, and I can't remember any.
Which one?
Yeah, which one?
So, do you remember the night that you and I are behind the bar? I think it was you and I, or it was myself and Mike Centeni. This very, very large man that, I'm not kidding, really had kind of a sumo quality to him. He was big. He had to be 300 pounds. He was easily 6'6", comes in and he's wasted, and kind of like the story you told, Mike, from episode 1, he's just going around table to table, just talking shit to people, just bugging people, giving people hell.
I remember this.
And do you remember who he knocked out?
I do, and there was a video recording of it.
That's right.
And we all watched it.
So he knocked out one of our good buddies, Pelkey.
Yeah.
Who used to be one of our best regulars and actually a former manager of this place.
Wait. So is this guy you're talking about? He's a customer or he's staff?
He's a customer.
He's a customer.
Okay.
So it's later at night. It's slower. There's a group of table. There's really two tables in the place. One table is these 4 kind of, late middle-aged, older ladies. I'd call a bunch of them cougars. And then there's another table with a bunch of our regulars, including this guy Pelkey, who was, a friend of the place and a former manager. Always a good tipper, was good to Zack and I. And all of a sudden, this cat walks in, and from the moment he walks in, I think it was Mike Centeni I was working with that night, because he says to me, he goes, I just remember him turning to me and be like, Steve, this guy is getting a little extra help. And Mike used to always say that when somebody was not just drunk but twisted up on drugs.
Oh, okay.
He goes, I think this guy's getting a little extra help. And so I was like,
great expression.
And I was like, yeah, Mike, I mean, we should probably keep an eye on him, but we thought, okay, he's just a drunk. We'll serve him. It'll be fine, right? And a lot of people at the dive walk, right? They walk to and from the bar. So we're thinking it's probably okay. And then we serve him one drink. And he starts messing with everybody. He goes over to the table of cougars. He's kind of messing with them. He's grabbing the one lady's arm. He's kind of pushing the chair. And it gets to the point where our table of regulars that's sitting next to them gets up and kind of says something. And Pelkey goes and kind of gets in his face. And, Pelkey's about my size, maybe 5'10".
He's small. Yeah,
215 pounds, 200 pounds. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, he's not a huge guy. This guy's an easy 6'6". Easy, 300, 350 pounds. I mean, he's an enormous man. And all of a sudden, the next thing I see is this guy's elbow go across the face of Pelkey.
I saw the video. It was good.
Pelkey goes flying. He hits a chair. The chair falls over. He falls over. And the whole table of regulars jumps up and basically grabs this guy and tosses him out of the building. And so that's like the really memorable fight story that I have. And I know the kitchen caught on fire a few times, but
I was the keeper of the peace.
Yeah.
So, when I'm working, if someone fights, you're fucking gone.
That's right.
So somebody starts causing some shit. He just walks up. He flexes those traps. So like, all right, man.
Dude, you say that, but it's not a joke. Sometimes
a joke.
Sometimes he would
I didn't say I was joking.
No, sometimes he would just hit him with one trap flex and hit him right in the eye and just completely destroy their orbital cavity or whatever that's called. I don't think orbital is right. But anyway, dude, those traps are no joke. You just bounce them a little bit, bounce them, and that's intimidating.
Get out of here.
Send them rolling. Get on down York Road, hon. All right, listen, your time's done here. I'm cutting you off. No more Miller Lights for you, hon.
It's just how I sound.
No more Miller Lights for you. You're out of here.
At least
he's imitating me right now.
I know, and at least he's not doing a fucking Minnesota accent, which is what he does 90% of the time.
Yeah, I usually do Minnesota, but tonight I'm doing Baltimore, hon. You know, because we're talking about the dive.
It's terrible.
I think my Baltimore accent's getting better, actually. I've been working on it. You know, it's all these. You know, I've been working in Parkville for 3 years, so that helps.
Okay.
Yeah, the Baltimore accent's pretty subtle. Yeah, it's really in the O's. I just mean in general. It's a really subtle accent, you know.
And well, fuck you, you know.
All right. It's more of just the people from Baltimore's fucking attitude, is what it is.
You know what? Go back to the plains. All right.
There, I'm in the goddamn plains.
So, all right, moving right along. Number 8, sex stories. Do you have any crazy sex stories from your bartending experience
that don't involve the couple in the car?
Yeah, I mean, it can be you, and you know, it can be more like sexual.
Look.
You know, the bartending business is very sexually charged. There's a lot of stress. We're moving in close quarters. I know we were talking before we started the pod tonight about some of the more beautiful staff that worked at the dive.
Sure.
So I don't know if you want to share any of those fun late nights after we close down, you know?
I mean, I think all I can say, you know, is that clothes did come off.
Oh.
You know, pools were involved numerous times. I mean, a lot of running, streaking, if you will, did occur.
There was a good 3 to 6 month window there where every single employee of age at the dive, we had like a system. It was work's over. It's 3 a.m. Let's get wasted,
get fucked up,
get completely naked, and go jump in other people's pools.
It was great.
So you'd get wasted at the dive?
Because you have to understand. So I'll let Zack speak into this. We don't have managers. The manager leaves at 11. So the bartenders shut down, do the money, lock the building.
So at 11:01, drinks are getting poured.
All hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
It's a free for all.
This reminds me, because I didn't work in a lot of places like that. Like typically the manager is like the one who fucking locks everything up.
Right.
And maybe if they were cool, they'd let everybody have a drink, right?
Dude.
But I remember, I won't name the bar, but one of the bars that you were working at when I was back in Baltimore, and I was there for the late night, and you guys let me stay after you closed down, and holy shit, yeah, all hell broke loose.
People smoking cigarettes.
People are
Imagine
getting
this.
fucked up on the table, the tables dance around and shit.
Imagine being 23 and a quote-unquote adult's like, all right, here are the keys, lock up, make sure everything's good. You're 23 and you're in charge of the dive. That's it, dude.
You already know that they can't even keep most of like the ingredients in stock, so
Yeah.
they don't know how much fucking alcohol is going. They're not keeping track of that.
So
shit.
you're rolling joints, you're burning heaters, you're just like, I mean, people would just
open the door.
People would just be pulling bottles, you know. We'd be closed, and a regular or like another bartender we knew from another bar would just come down the street. They'd knock on the door, they'd come in, you know, and I mean, this led to a lot of bad behavior. When we would finally leave, everybody would be all sauced up. We would have been, you know, a lot of times we'd go out back. We'd hang out in this tent that they had out back. We'd play cornhole. We'd dick around. And what would inevitably happen is, you know, a little sexual charge to the situation. Everybody's feeling good, feeling a little twisted. And one of two things would happen. We would have streak races where you had to strip down nude and race to a point in the parking lot and then race back and see who won. Or we would go find a pool. Somebody's pool in the area.
Depends on who's streaking. Everybody might be a winner in that scenario. So.
Let me say,
most of the time, everyone won.
There were some.
Say that.
You know, one thing that the dive was good at, especially once our Johnny Black manager started working there, was hiring attractive staff.
He was the best manager I've ever had.
So this was obviously after you guys got hired then.
Again, fuck you, go back to the plains, you piece of shit. You hillbilly fuck.
It was just too easy, I'm sorry.
Have another loaded spud, you fat fuck.
I fucking will, motherfucker. Extra spicy, goddammit.
All right. Well, while we're on the subject of games like the streak runs that the streak marathons we used to do, number 9 on the gauntlet is our bar hazing pranks and games. Do you remember any pranks, games, stuff that we used to do or you used to do to just try to keep yourself entertained at the bar? Try to keep your sanity throughout your shift.
So you all had talked about Alex before, correct?
Yeah.
So I saw this topic when I was looking up everything, and I'm like, you know what? I got to talk about this guy. Hilarious. The funniest person funnier than you. You're a pretty funny guy, I'm not trying to.
He was way funny. He was way funny.
Hilarious.
He was way funnier than me.
So what he would not do for money what he would do, for money was astonishing.
He would do anything for money.
And when we say that, I mean literally anything. And one story really sticks out. He did a few things that were questionable. One really sticks out. So it was Steve and I behind the bar, and Alex was bar backing for us. It's late night, so it's probably almost midnight. We have 2-3 customers, and Alex he's on one tonight. He's been on a roll all night,
running around screaming gangster rap lines in your ear, but as Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Bitch better have my money, ha ha! Bitch better have my money. The dog gotta eat. Roo, 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 roo. That was one of his favorite things to do.
I'm like, Alex, take that pan back. Like, we're busy.
He would just run up to you and think of like the most ridiculous gangster rap line. To the window, to the wall, motherfucker, ha ha! The sweat drip down my balls, motherfucker.
Wow. Yeah, that's crunk. That's not gangster rap. Just
so. Okay, excuse us. The guy from the plains knows all about the crunk.
I've got the goddamn internet, Steve. All right.
When did you get it? This year? Last year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The pandemic's been good to you, hasn't
it? It took the horse a while to bring it down, but they got it all.
Wow.
The Wells Fargo wagon is coming down the line. All right. So anyway, my bad. We're getting on a tangent there. So you're right. Alex would do anything for money. So this particular night, he is on one. I feel like I know the night you're talking about, but I'm going to let you tee it up.
Okay. And so I don't know if you may have been the enabler. That's usually how it went. Was Steve was the one that was like, all right, if you do this, I'll give you this. And Alex is going to say yes every time. So Steve goes, I will slap you with this wet bar mat as hard as I can for $10. $10. And it's soaking wet, and it's been there, all night. And
yeah.
So what does Alex do? Alex is done. I'll do it. And there's this one customer there who's he's smiling.
He's loving it.
Smirking.
He actually starts throwing money on the bar to try to get the money
I'll give you another 10.
Yeah, I gotta see this. And if anybody, for the non-service industry people, when we talk bar mats, what we're talking about is the rail that runs the section of the bar that oftentimes you'll see a bartender making drinks on. It's a rubber mat. It's usually about 2 to 3 feet long. I'd say it's about 1 inch thick. So this thing's got some girth to it. It's got some weight to it.
It's rubber.
When you slap with it, it has this amazing ability to just like thunk onto somebody, like a cat of nine tails. This thing is serious pain if it's gonna slap. It's like getting slapped with a salmon. Seriously, it's intense.
He took it.
He took it.
So this one crazy customer just throwing money down, and I'm in the back just like, dude, don't do it, please. And Steve's like, do it, you fucking pussy. And so what does he do? So Alex pulls up the back of his shirt.
I didn't even ask him to pull his shirt up.
Shirt up.
He went bare with it. He pulled his shirt up.
Skin. Pulls his shirt up, and Steve's doing the countdown, and it was loud.
I mollywopped him.
I peed myself a little bit.
I know. I'm assuming because there's 2 sides of the bar mat. There's like the not perforated is not the right word.
The nipple side that has all those little little traps.
It can catch all.
It almost looks like cleats on like a athletic shoe, right?
So did you slap him with that side?
No, I slapped him with the flat side.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I slapped him with the flat side, so he would get a good like thunk on there. But dog, I hit him fucking so hard, and he keeled over. And I want to say for like 6 shifts, he had this straight red line on his back. I used to joke with him for years after that. I would come up to him and do the line from Tommy Boy. And I was like, hey, Alex, my back really hurts. Not so much here or here, but right here. Is it red or anything? And I'm like, no. You don't get it.
No, he keeled over in pain, shot up, ran to the carry-out section, and he was rolling on the floor. And I was also rolling on the floor, but I was just peeing myself. I was dying.
Right.
They all involve him, honestly. I mean, I'm sure there are tons.
So can we talk about the other one? I haven't actually told it yet on the podcast.
You actually talked about a few of them on Meg's episode too.
I remember
him eating one of the fish out of the aquarium.
Yeah, so we got him to eat the fish one time. So when he ate the fish, Zach and I had this bright idea. That maybe we could get him to go just a little farther. And at this time in the world, like Jackass 3 had just come out, and like so a lot of this stuff was top of mind. And we got to a point where we had such a good following on Saturdays that when we would do these pranks in these games with Alex, we would raise money. So like I think I told the story on Meg's episode about the fly swatter. Right?
Yes.
Right, the fly swatter that zapped on his face.
Yeah.
I want to say the kid made $100, $120 off that one.
That's fucking awesome.
I mean, people were just putting money on the bar. It was crazy. The one that we never got to execute, but we always wanted to, Zach and I had talked about it for years, is we always thought it'd be crazy if we could convince Alex to get one of the fishes out of the tank, put it into his ass.
I knew you were going.
Put it into a condom and then put it into
Well,
his ass.
at first it was put it straight into your ass. And we were negotiating this with him. How much money
fish in a condom.
How much money would it take? And we were going back and forth. And then he got to a point where he's like, well, I won't put it straight in my ass. And I was like,
you don't know where that fish has been, man.
I go, what if we put it in a condom? and he went, how much money are we talking about? And so then we had this running thing with a lot of the regulars that would come and see us on Saturdays. Like, all right, guys, look, if we can get to $250, he's going to put this fish in his ass.
What?
I remember.
How does that even play out? Like,
how do we ask him for that?
Watch him actually insert it into his ass, and then what? Does he take it out, or does he like just pull his pants back up and get back to work? Like,
we didn't get that.
What's
far.
the dismount?
We never got that far. I think I got as far as buying the condoms and bringing them in and just being like, look what I got.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you had to go buy some, Steve. Yeah. You probably pop one right out of your wallet.
This was not in my pocket.
I'm ready to rock and roll, man.
That's like shooting pool with a rope, baby. Come on, I'll keep those bad boys on hand. You know what happened? That one time Tom... Oh, shit.
That's all right. I'll fucking edit it out again.
Well, you remember that one time that Dirty Tom lent me one of his lambskin condoms because he's allergic to latex. I ever told you that story? Wow, are we doing this? So. All right, we're doing this. We're going in here. All right. When Dirty Tom and I were bartending down in Ocean City, Maryland, he lends me a lambskin condom one time, and I proceed to have a lovely evening with this very nice lady, and we had a very nice time.
But you're fucking the inside of a sheep. That's always what I think of. That's always what I think of.
It felt great. And
even though you're in a woman, you're actually fucking the inside of a goddamn sheep.
Hey, if it's good enough for the Greeks, it's good enough for me.
He needed that condom. She was not nice.
Plato, Socrates, these are the great men of our time, So I mean,
I doubt they use condoms.
How dare you? How dare you try to belittle them? I am not above them in any way. So anyway, Tom lends me, I didn't have any condoms. I'm like knocking on his door. I was like, dude, I'm about to get laid. I need this condom. Come on. And he's like, hey, you want to try one of these lambskin ones? I said, okay. I don't really care. It's fine.
What?
And
it tastes like a euro. It's great.
So unfortunately, Dirty Tom is allergic to latex, and so this is something that he had to have. And there was no issue with the condom. It was great. But Tom didn't tell me you have to take the condom off immediately when you're done, because what'll happen is that the second that you're done having sex, because it's lambskin, it will solidify to your penis. It will
Hold on.
Yes.
We've got to unpack this because
when the lambskin condom mixes with semen, it will immediately turn to cement and cement itself to your cock. So I fuck. I'm a little drunk, and so I end up falling asleep. And I end up sleeping through the night with the condom on my cock, and I wake up.
Exactly. Thank you. What the fuck are you doing? What's wrong with you?
Dumb. Listen, I'm not here to adjudicate whether or not I'm stupid. I'm here to tell a story, okay? So the next day I wake up, Next day I wake up, I still have the condom on. I go to the bathroom to piss. I go to take it off. I can't
your
get
dick.
It
It's
off.
like your dick accidentally looked at Medusa.
I can't get it off. It's stuck on there. It literally looks like paper mache on my shit. And I'm like, oh my God, I've made a mold. Like I can sell replicas of this dick around the world.
Where's my nearest quinceañera? Let's
go. That's just wrong. That's just so wrong. That's so wrong. We're gonna get flagged, dude. We're gonna get flagged. So anyway, I could not get it off. I couldn't tear it off. It wouldn't. There's nothing I could do. So that's why I spent the next 4 hours of my life in the bathtub, my legs up on the wall, hot water streaming down, with a pair of scissors, cutting it off centimeter by centimeter, trying not to cut my own dick off. It was one of the worst experiences of my entire fucking life, dude.
This is where I doubt a little bit of your story. I do not believe that the moment you come,
I'm not saying the moment.
Automatically,
no.
Just like
I'm
solidifies.
not saying the moment. I'm not here to besmirch, Trojan brand.
You can't let sheep. It's not even sheep skin. It's sheep intestine, right?
Look, I'm saying is
isn't
this.
that right?
All
so
I'm saying is
you can't leave sheep intestine on your fucking member all night long.
Nobody told me that. I didn't know.
You should just know that.
Why did you keep
I didn't know
in the first place?
I didn't know.
That's my
first off, I didn't intentionally leave it on. Okay, look, let's move on. Let's move on here. I feel like I'm getting.
Let's avoid
we're
this.
Talk about this later, Steve.
I feel like I'm getting crucified. We're gonna cut this section out. We're cutting this out.
We're crucifying the lambs.
We're gonna crucify the lambs. All right. So number 10, you're through the gauntlet, Zach. Last question: firing and quitting stories. Give us your best middle finger to the sky. Fuck this place stories.
A category we affectionately refer to as getting 86'd.
Getting 86.
Oh, wow, that's good. I don't have one, man. I got this big boy job, and I told them all, and it was kind of a 2-week deal, and I left.
And
do you remember
that's the best way to go out too. Like,
yeah, and I respect that.
The great crazy quitting stories are fun to hear, but like it sucks to leave on bad blood with anybody. There's been people from some of my jobs where it's like you said, it's Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
So I left some restaurants on bad terms, and then I ended up seeing some of the managers out that I kind of had this riff with, at other people's events and stuff. And I ended up going and doing what I could to make up with them. You know what I mean? They were the ones who fucked up. Don't get me wrong, but like I was a dick about it too. But I went up and tried to make amends with them. And it was nice to kind of get that closure and move on from that. But nobody really wants to really walk out of a job with bad blood between anybody.
I think the best example here, though, and like I know Zach has some of these, is we saw a lot of people get fired from the dive. We saw so many people get fired from the dive. So, I mean, I know we had some pretty epic firings.
I'm going to do one more scotch.
You're going to do one more scotch?
One more?
I'll do one more scotch, too. Why don't you give me one more scotch? I'm going to have another ice cube, too. I'm going to throw that bad boy in there.
I feel like all these stories are kind of like you get pulled into the office, and they're like, you're fired. And people are like, all right, well, fuck you. Like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, there's really... Got something good.
But it's funny. There are kind of like stock ones that are a little bit like bar tropes. So I'll give you a good example. Zach and I used to work with this gal at the dive called
Chartreuse.
I'm gonna use the name Marielle. Okay,
that's a good one.
I'm gonna use the name Marielle, and she was a character,
drug addict.
She was a character, as I said.
What is it? She was working with something a little extra.
Yeah, exactly what it was.
She's getting a little help, Steve.
Oh, that's what it is. That's
very
what it is.
Nice,
yeah.
Very nice.
Getting a little help.
Very nice woman.
Sweet as hell. Just a lot, And if you were a coworker, she was so nice to you. But she had been there probably a decade. She was there for so long. And I remember the day that she got fired. I walked in and she was supposed to be there for a regular shift. I go, hey, where's Marielle? What's going on? And the next thing I know, they go, yeah, well, I just remember one of the managers going, yeah, well, we can't have 8 bottles of Fireball disappear in a month and keep somebody here. And I said, what now?
Wasn't me.
So apparently, not only, unfortunately, was Fireball her drink of choice, but she was slugging. Now, did she work like 3-4 days? She probably worked 5-6 days a week, maybe. So she was there a lot. But I mean, this girl was housing like handle
Like an impressive amount of Fireball.
Like handle bottles of Fireball, like a dangerous amount of Fireball. And I think, we never had bar metrics. We never had any inventory on liquor or beer there. But so it's really like a testament to how much she drank,
how much she was actually,
for them to notice. Yeah. We don't have any of the ingredients for our cocktail list, and they noticed how much Fireball she was drinking. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the firing stories that always sticks with me. I mean, I got fired from the dive 4 separate times by 3 different managers, and I kept getting brought back. So we used to always joke that the running joke was you don't really work at the dive until you've been fired.
That's fair. I mean, I think I went back, after I got my big boy job, and I picked up shifts every now and then, but I think the days of the bartender closing and the drinking after 11ish, we'll say, we're done. That kind of caught up to me, and they were kind of like, yeah, we need to just hire someone, you're out.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say a fire, but I think the days of the wild times were done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. That's a very befitting way to kind of wrap up the gauntlet. I'm proud of you. You got through it, buddy. Mm-hmm. It's a lot to throw at you, and you took it on the fucking chin like a champ. So we do like to get better. Mike and I are humble people. We know that we are not the best at this. We are continually trying to improve, become better podcasters and better interviewers. And so one of the things that we always like to do is a little bit of a cleanup section. We call it our How's Our Driving. So can you give us an idea of maybe questions we didn't ask that you'd like us to ask, that we should ask other bartenders, or any other recommendations on foods, drinks, restaurants, or just questions that you might have for the show? Is there a place maybe you're going a lot right now, or an alcohol you're really into?
Sure. So if you live in Maryland, I know you work there, and this is not an endorsement, but it's spectacular. It's Das.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Das Beer Hall.
Das Beer Hall in Parkville it's spectacular. Their beer list is phenomenal.
It's one of a kind.
Yeah, it's
sure.
So
the owner's a really good dude. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I wanted to tell you my favorite thing about Das Beer Hall. All right?
Sure.
Which actually first was my least favorite thing about Das. So I'm a big music lover. And music really adds a lot to any experience. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? And I would go to Das, and obviously because Steve was working and stuff, and the music was fucking garbage. I mean, it was like these fucking like clubby. It was like this like underground like East German like clubby remixes of popular songs. I'm like, this is fucking terrible, and they're blaring it. And like I just dealt with it. I didn't want to complain because Steve's working there and stuff. But eventually, after we'd been there multiple times, I'm like, this is fucking terrible music. What's going on? And Steve's like, no, you fucking idiot. You can request anything that you want to hear, and
someone
they'll play it for you.
This bullshit.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, really? And then I just like fucking, it's like a free jukebox. And I just whip out my phone. I start playing, like, play this. Here, wait, play this. And then it was a great time. I really enjoyed that.
So that's one of the things that it's tough working there, especially when you're busy, but we kind of have this, like, we will play anything policy, and that's always been like a big sticking point with the owner. The owner is one of the most, not just incredible people that I've ever known in my entire life. Him and his wife are just amazing human beings, but they are the best bar managers and bar owners I've ever worked for, and I've been doing this for almost 16
years.
They're
just good business people, but they get it.
They get it. They get the service industry. I mean, like, and it's I can't say enough. I mean, honest to God, we haven't talked a lot about Das in this pod, so I'm glad that you brought him up because, I mean, we really do need to give them the recognition that they deserve, but they do everything right, from the way that they hire to the type of people that they hire to the leniency. Like, how many restaurants have all of us worked at where if a customer wants to have a drink with you, a bar manager's like, no drinking behind the bar. It's an open policy that we are really the atmosphere setters at Das, and we need to have fun with our customers and make sure they have fun, and we don't get, we're not trying to get wasted. We're not trying to drink on our own time, but we are trying to make sure everybody has a good time, and they get that. And they empower us to do that. And that's, I think, a really special thing about that place. And Mike's so right. I can't tell you how many times I've been in there and I have to listen to I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston 6 times in the same. No, I love that song. I'm not talking bad on Whitney. I'm just saying 6 times in the same night. But that's because we let our customers dictate the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And that's a big thing about what's made this place so special.
Yeah.
And Zack and his lovely lady are, I would consider them to be remote regulars. They're not there as much as I'd like them to be. They don't live super close.
Well, we live on the other side of the city. So, I mean, if you're not familiar with Baltimore at all, basically it's right by the harbor. So you have like east, north, and west. So Das it's in Baltimore County, but it's on the west side of the city.
East side.
Yeah, you're right. East side. The JV is hidden. The JV's hidden.
Yeah, the JV hidden good.
So I live on the west side. That sounds cool to say. So I mean, I live,
Wiggity,
25, 30 minutes away. So, it's great people. The owner's great. The manager's great. The employees are great. The vibes are great.
It's so crazy.
Pretzels are fucking great.
They are.
The pretzels are great.
If you go to Das, you gotta get a pretzel.
Yeah, you do gotta get a pretzel.
You gotta get that grainy fucking mustard, man.
You gotta get that. But the sneaky best thing is the jalapeno raspberry jam. That is
good too. That is good too.
Pass for the third.
It's what Zach's just saying about how far he lives from the bar. That's why I call him like a remote regular. But that's the special thing about this place. I have never worked for a local community bar or restaurant that has so many regulars that live so far.
Yeah.
We have a group of regulars that come 3 times a week and they live in Annapolis. And if you know the Baltimore area, Annapolis is a good, like a solid hour from this bar. It is a mess. Also, to get like out of Severn, around Pasadena, up through Baltimore City, up to Northeast Baltimore County, and just like that drive alone, like I gotta be honest with you, if I lived in Annapolis, I would not be going to Das 3 days a week. But we have those people exist, and it's because we have such a special thing happening.
It's a destination.
It is a place to go, and so I encourage anybody in the Mid-Atlantic from Philly down to Northern Virginia. You got a free day, come up to Das, you bring your dogs, you have a bunch of big beers. We are a beer-centric place. We do the 32-ounce giant German Steins. We have the Das Boots, and we have a fucking damn good time there. So please come up. It's so much fun. I work every single Friday night, in case anybody.
So go on Saturdays.
That's right. That's right, because I don't want to have to put up with y'all bullshit, All right, well, this is our wrap-up. These are our closing questions, the last kind of things we ask you, and then we're going to get you out of here. First off, why do you still do this? The AKA, why do you hate yourself? It's a little different because you don't do this anymore.
I got a good answer.
But imagine, kind of like why did you put up with so much crap in the service industry?
The money was good.
God damn, it's good.
Look, the money was good, and it's a lot of good people. You hear a lot of shit about, the service industry is riddled with just delinquents. And look, I love me a good delinquent, all right? They're good. They're good people, all right? They're not.
Right.
Well, when I say most of them are good people. There are some bad eggs, but they're good people.
Yeah, they're special.
They let you slap them in the face with a goddamn
Dude,
barmaid.
I've never peed myself so hard in public.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
I think the thing for me is that I always used to joke around. You both, I think, have met my ex, Sydney Borchman, one of my best friends in the entire world. She was actually on this pod.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was also on the podcast. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm telling this story because I'm thinking of a time long ago when we were dating in college. And I remember I used to tell her, when I meet people, I have such crazy ADD and I have such I feel like short-term memory loss that I need you to make an impact in that quickly. I need you to register. I need you to show me that you are an interesting enough person or that there's something there that I want to gravitate to you, because I am so blessed with amazing friends and family and relationships, and I always have a capacity for more people and more friends and more great relationships in my life. But dog, if you're vanilla, if you ain't got no personality, if you can't move the motherfucking needle, then it's just not going to work for me.
If the most interesting thing about you is that your child got bit by your pet rat, It's not going to cut
it's
it,
a
man.
guy no longer want your money.
Yeah.
It's no longer good here.
I want to hear about saltwater crocodiles and ratchet ass crab sex in the parking lot. And I mean, there is something about the service industry that breeds interesting people.
It's special.
Yeah.
It breeds interesting people. It puts this eclectic group together. And what's also awesome is if they're not interesting, if they're not fun, if they're not eclectic, they don't make it.
Yeah.
It weeds those people out so quickly.
Or they're fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's
those
also
people.
Cool.
It's interesting.
I say this with love. The Jill Lentowski episode is coming. I love you, Jill. We're going to have a lot of fun. But anyway, all right. So last question. If you opened a bar, what would you call it?
There's not read these questions enough.
You didn't read these questions enough.
Alternatively, if you don't know what you'd call it, like what would the theme of the bar be?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I just feel like something local would be cool, just because the bar that I worked at was like, I was at one place primarily for such a long time, but I've met a lot of good, like Steve, I'm only here tonight talking because I met him at this bar. You know what I mean? So and that was 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It's crazy.
So
you hated me when you first met me.
I fucking hated you.
Yeah, we didn't even get into this. Let's do this now. Actually, I'm going to hijack this question. Go on. Go in.
Just real quick. So I'm bartending, me and the manager, we met a few times. We got a good thing going, and he's like, all right, I brought
This is the Johnny Walker Black manager.
This is the JWB. He introduced it to my life, all right? I love this guy. So he's like, I brought my boy from Cooper's down in Fells Point. It's in the city. He's a great worker. He's a good guy. Steve's over here running around like a fucking madman. And I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, he is like a squirrel on crack. Like, who did you bring here? And then years later,
we're trying to have a laid back local bar. Yeah. And you're fucking up the equilibrium, bro.
Look, we ended up living together for a while.
Yeah.
And so I think a big part of if I were to have a theme of a bar, it would try to be something local. Whether it's in Baltimore, whether it's in Philly, whether it's any city you go to.
Yeah.
I say Philly because it's close.
Local bar, town bar.
Basically, just kind of like I fucking love dive bars. And
yeah.
You mentioned the Beatnik earlier. What did they have written on the door that went inside? It said "fuck hipsters" or something like that.
Yeah.
But most people in there were kind of like they weren't. It wasn't the really fucking mustachy hipster type, but it was like just fucking regular people working. Where the fuck ever. And they're just all going in to have a good time. The dive bar you guys are talking about, just a place where people enjoy themselves, and it's not this club or this high volume place.
Well, you can also push back. I think that's the most special thing about a dive bar is as an employee, as a bartender, if you're mistreated, if there is this lack of respect, or there's a customer that just doesn't fit the vibe, like they don't want to have fun, they don't want to assimilate themselves to this environment, you can push back. Like you can really talk shit, tell them to leave, tell them to go. We don't need your money. That was a special thing, I think, about that place too. And you can't do that. You can't do that at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, I was just thinking B-dubs. I'm like, it's the opposite end of the spectrum there.
It's been a running joke to talk shit at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Their wings are good, though. Are they not?
No, they're fucking not.
If you want great wings, though, can I name drop one more place?
Do it.
iBar.
Right? iBar!
It's like 2 blocks north Avenue in Baltimore.
The greatest wings that have ever been.
Look, I will not order wings at any other bar because of iBar.
Dude, iBar is the shit. It really is.
That's all I got.
What a way to end this amazing pod. I had so much motherfucking fun. Like, those stories were amazing. Glad we got to get into a little bit with Boucher. I love that motherfucker.
He's a man.
Manager Johnny Walker. These cocktails are hitting. Give me a little cheers here, buddy. I mean, it has been an absolute blast. I hope you had fun as well. Thank you for all the stories and all the memories. Guys, we are going to stop.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I'm just glad I'm going to remember this episode before I edit it. So that's nice for me.
On that note, I'm going to down this JWB, and I think Mikey and I have an outro to do. So we're going to see how much I can slur my words on that one. I hope y'all enjoyed it. See ya.
Hey everyone. fun. We really hope you enjoyed the show. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad Zach got to come down and hang out with us for a while. If you enjoyed the show, we do release new episodes every first and third Monday, but right now we're trying to do once a week. We're gonna shoot for every Monday for each month, and we just gotta get a little bit of a backlog going. So bear with us here as we kind of figure that out. As always, a big shout out to our friends at Trauma Parlor. Thank you guys so much for letting us use your song, The Fast One. You guys heard that throughout the show. If you enjoyed that, please go and check them out. They're on Facebook. They're on Spotify. Seriously, these guys are fucking great musicians. They've got some really cool songs. Please go and check them out.
Yeah, I mean, they're absolutely fantastic. They've been so good to us. If you want to be one of our regulars, please, it helps us so much. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at the BRP Drink Along. We always say, don't just listen along, drink along. You can listen also on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Spotify at The Bartender Rant Podcast. You can probably hear me enunciating really hard because that Johnny B is hitting and I am slurring my shit. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. We really need the personal validation.
That is true. We really do. So, and if you want to be one of our VIP listeners, we've got a Patreon set up at the Bartender Rant Podcast. VIPs are always going to have a spot at the bar. You're going to get access to bonus content. We're constantly looking for new ideas for new bonus episodes that we can throw on there for you guys to check out. We're also going to give you guys the opportunity to vote on new episode content. Steve and I are going to be going out to some crazy bar towns. We're already planning some trips right now, and we're going to give those VIP listeners the chance to kind of tell us where they might want us to go, or maybe, some of the bars that they want us to check out and maybe find some new people to interview. And as always, you get a 10% discount on all of our merch.
Yeah. And look, if you want to be a big tipper, I was going to talk about our big tippers, but then my brother walked in. But if you want to be one of our big tippers,
aka one of our Bozels, and let me just hit you really quick because we kind of talked about this at the start of the show. When we say big tipper, we are talking about anybody who wants to contribute at all to what we're doing
50 cents,
right
now. $1, a quarter, a penny. We don't care.
This is 7 episodes in. We are not looking for anybody right now. I'm not even going to start hitting on that shit until we're like 25 fucking episodes in. But if you guys like the show, if you guys want to help us, contribute and be able to go more places and meet more bartenders, anything that you can give, we greatly appreciate. We'll be sure to give all of our VIP listeners and all of our Bozels a big shout out at the end of every episode. So yeah, anything you guys want to contribute, we would greatly appreciate.
We really would. And I'm sure anybody that has a good ear just heard the jingle jangle of my brother's dog's collar going off there. If you're a huge tipper, we'll let you come out here and pet him. Feel free to make a donation on PayPal under the Bartender Rant Podcast at gmail.com. Look, Mike and I love doing this because we love the service industry. It's something we're passionate about. We've worked in it for years, and we want to bring you great content, but this is not our day job. With your help, we can keep the stories coming, and we can interview people all around the country or all around the world. The way we'd love to see this go is years from now, being able to fly to Melbourne and go to some of those dive bars and talk to some of those bartenders that Annie Gladbach told us about, or go all over the country to whatever bar or local restaurant that you love and talk to your local bartenders.
And all on your fucking dime. That's really where we that's where we want to see this.
So I lied when I said we only need personal validation. I also need your money. Okay. No, seriously. And as always, don't just listen along.
Fucking drink along.
Goddamn right.